Imagine, for just a second, that you have just survived a horrific shipwreck,
Oh, man.
right? Like you've been drifting in this tiny dinghy for 8 days under a pitiless sun. The desperation is so absolute that your companions have literally gone mad. They've fought each other over the last drops of water and, tumbled overboard to sink like stones.
Just a completely hopeless situation.
Exactly. You are parched, you're starved, and you're really just waiting for the end.
Yeah.
And then, miraculously, a ship appears on the horizon.
Salvation.
You'd think you're pulled aboard, saved from certain death. But as you start to recover your senses, you realize the vessel that rescued you is carrying this bizarre, chaotic cargo of wild animals.
Yeah, it's not a normal rescue ship.
Not at all. There's a screaming puma, cages full of dogs, a llama, and worse, the crew members just shuffling around the deck seem strangely, well, inhuman.
It's basically the ultimate out of the frying pan into the fire scenario. I mean, you think you've been saved from the indifferent cruelty of the ocean, only to realize you've been pulled into this highly orchestrated, terrifying nightmare where the rules of nature, like, they just no longer apply.
And this is the exact nightmare Edward Prendick faces in H.G. Wells's 1896 science fiction masterpiece, The Island of Dr. Moreau. Today we're doing a deep dive into the text of the novel itself to explore this harrowing tale.
It's such a visceral story.
It really is. We're going to walk you through the terrifying events of his survival and the mad science going on and, those incredibly blurry lines between man and beast.
Right.
But more importantly, we want to look at the profound questions the story raises. Things about the biological nature of pain, the limits of scientific inquiry, and what it truly means to be civilized.
Because Wells really forces us to look in a very uncomfortable mirror here. I mean, the text strips away all those comforting illusions we have about human superiority.
Oh, absolutely.
It asks us to confront the underlying animal instincts that we, spend so much of our lives trying to suppress or just outright deny.
So let's look at how Prendick gets thrust into this situation. He's a private gentleman, survivor of a sunken ship called the Lady Vane.
Right.
And after that agonizing 8-day drift, he's picked up by this strange little schooner called a Picaquana.
What a name.
Yeah, right. And almost immediately, his savior, who's this disgraced former medical student named Montgomery, introduces him to an attendant named Meekling.
Yes, Mipling.
And Meekling is where the biological alarm bells really start ringing for Prendick.
Wells uses Imling perfectly here to trigger this profound psychological reaction in the reader, which mirrors Prendick's own instinctual revulsion.
It's creepy.
It really is. It's basically a masterclass in the uncanny valley effect.
Oh.
Because Imling is wearing clothes, he's speaking, he's acting as a servant, but the biological signals he gives off are entirely predatory.
Yeah, the details are deeply unsettling. Like, Emling has a face that suggests a muzzle, and he walks with this awkward, unnatural, almost, digitigrade gait. Like an animal walking on its toes.
Exact.
His ears are pointed, they're covered in fine brown fur.
Mm.
And when the light hits his eyes in the dark, they glow green.
Which is horrifying.
Yeah. It's not just that he looks weird, it's that Prendick's lizard brain is just screaming that he is in the presence of a predator masquerading as a man.
And it's not just Prendick. The human crew of the ship shares that instinctual hatred. They absolutely despise Mickling.
Right, they can't stand him.
The ship's captain, who is this perpetually drunk, tyrannical guy, he flat out refuses to keep Prendick aboard.
He just wants them all gone.
Yeah. When they reach Montgomery's destination, which is this remote, uncharted volcanic island, the captain literally throws Prendick back into a dinghy without oars.
Which is basically a death sentence.
Pretty much. The ocean doesn't want him, the ship doesn't want him, and so Montgomery and his very authoritative white-haired companion reluctantly take Prendick onto the island.
And we quickly learn that this white-haired man is the notorious Dr. Moreau.
The man himself.
Right. He was once this brilliant physiologist in London, but he was essentially run out of England after a journalist exposed his gruesome, merciless vivisection experiments.
Yeah, it was a massive scandal.
And the thing is, he didn't flee because he thought his research was wrong. He fled because society's conscience became a hurdle to his progress.
He needed zero oversight.
Exactly. He needed a place with no laws, no prying eyes.
And the isolation of this island is absolute. Like, once Prendick is locked inside Moreau's walled compound, that isolation becomes a complete pressure cooker.
I can't even imagine.
There's no police force to call. There are no neighbors to complain to. Moreau is the absolute authority. He is the god of this tiny volcanic rock.
And the terror of that realization peaks when Prendick hears what is happening on the other side of his bedroom wall.
Oh, the screams.
Yeah, the screaming. Moreau is conducting vivisection on a live puma. And for anyone unfamiliar, vivisection is the practice of performing brutal operations on live animals for scientific research.
With no anesthesia, usually?
Right. And Prendick isn't just hearing regular animal noises. He is subjected to this constant, agonizing, deeply human-sounding wailing that goes on for hours and hours.
It's unbearable.
It's like imagine checking into a super sketchy vacation rental, but instead of just having loud neighbors, you realize you're in an abandoned hospital.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right. And the surgeons in charge aren't healing patients. They are the monsters. And you are just trapped in the waiting room listening to the screams of the victims.
That captures the sheer claustrophobia of his situation perfectly, because the sound of that puma becomes an oppressive physical weight for him.
It's presence in the room.
It is. It's actual psychological torture for Prendick.
Yeah.
He cannot escape the reality of the agony happening just inches away from him, separated only by this thin wall.
So close.
And the cries of the puma are so distressing, just so utterly shattering to his nerves that he simply cannot stay in the compound.
Yeah, he snaps. I mean, driven mad by the screams, he just breaks out and flees into the jungle.
He has to get away.
But escaping the compound just takes us from a claustrophobic, locked door kind of horror into the sprawling, surreal horror of the island itself.
Because out there, it's worse.
Much worse. Out in the thick vegetation, he discovers he is very much not alone. He starts encountering these grotesque, deformed creatures.
The beast folk.
Yeah. An ape-man, swine-man, a sloth creature. They walk on two legs, they wear these crude makeshift clothes, and they even speak.
Sort of, yeah.
But they carry this unmistakable, repulsive taint of the animal.
Wells refers to it as the mark of the beast.
Right.
Prendick realizes that these aren't just strange natives, and they're not some natural evolutionary offshoot either.
No, they're completely unnatural.
They are a horrifying artificial hybrid, and his flight through the jungle culminates when he stumbles upon their central social gathering in this dark, foul-smelling hut deep in the woods.
Oh, this scene. This is undoubtedly one of the most chilling scenes in the entire novel.
It really sticks with you.
It does. In the pitch black of this hut, a creature known as the Sayer of the Law, which is this gray, faceless thing, leads a swaying, hypnotic chant.
It's so eerie.
Dozens of these beast people are repeating a litany together. They chant, let me quote it, "Not to go on all fours, that is the law. Are we not men? Not to suck up drink, that is the law. Are we not men? Not to claw the bark of trees, that is the law. His is the house of pain."
It functions as this dark parody of religious ritual.
Yeah.
But the ritual isn't about spiritual salvation. It serves a very specific mechanical and vital purpose for Moreau's experiment.
Okay, wait, let me push back on that a bit. Is it really that calculated?
How do you?
Well, because reading that scene, it just feels like a bizarre island cult. Like they are terrified of this unseen master who inflicts pain, and they recite these rules to avoid punishment. Are we sure it's more than just a crude religion built around fear?
It's a totally fair question, but we have to look at how Moreau actually operates.
Okay.
This litany isn't just religious dogma. It is a form of deep, continuous psychological conditioning.
Oh, wow. Like brainwashing.
Exactly. Moreau hasn't merely performed physical surgery on these creatures. He is attempting to perform psychological surgery, too. He uses hypnotism to artificially graft a veneer of human morality right over their deeply ingrained animal instincts.
Oh, I see. So the physical alterations to their vocal cords and brains aren't enough on their own. He has to build a mental cage to go along with the physical one.
That's spot on. The human shape doesn't erase the animal mind.
Right.
So they chant the law to constantly reinforce this fragile human programming. They have to continuously remind themselves, are we not men? Because their underlying biology is constantly screaming at them.
Screaming at them to be animals.
Yes, to drop on all fours, to hunt, to bite, to tear flesh. The law is just a flimsy dam holding back an ocean of primal instinct. If they stop chanting, the dam cracks.
That is terrifying. And now, at this point in the story, Prendick jumps to a completely logical, yet entirely incorrect conclusion.
He gets it totally backward.
He does. He looks at these beast people. He remembers Moreau's dark history with blood transfusions and vivisection back in London, and he assumes Moreau is vivisecting humans.
He thinks he's the next victim.
Exactly. He thinks Moreau is mutating men into animals. So, terrified that he's the next subject, Prendick confronts the doctor on the beach. He literally threatens to drown himself in the ocean rather than be taken to the House of Pain.
And this confrontation forces Moreau to finally lay his cards on the table.
He has to.
Right, he has to explain the truth just to save Prendick's life. And this explanation forms the central philosophical core of the text, where Moreau details his justification for playing God.
And the truth is the exact reverse of what Prendick feared.
Mm-hmm.
Moreau isn't turning men into beasts. He is taking living, breathing animals and systematically carving them into men.
Which is arguably worse.
It's so much worse. And he's been doing this for 20 agonizing years. He started with a sheep, moved on to a gorilla, and now he's working on the puma.
And it's not a gentle process.
No. He isn't just using a scalpel. He uses extreme vivisection, bone alteration, skin grafting. It's butchery.
But we need to understand how Moreau believes this works.
Okay, lay it on me.
He views the biological body as highly malleable clay. He tells Prendick that a creature's physical form dictates its mental capacity.
So form dictates function.
Exactly. If you change the vocal cords, you force the capacity for speech. If you alter the brain's physical structure and change the chemical rhythms of the blood through transfusions, you can suppress aggressive instincts. You can force intellectual thought.
It is a terrifyingly mechanistic view of life.
It really is.
He honestly believes that if you just, tinker with the plumbing and the wiring enough, you can manufacture a soul.
That's his ultimate goal.
But what about the unimaginable suffering he is causing? Like, how does he justify the sheer agony of the animals?
He justifies it through utter, chilling, emotional detachment. I mean, Prendick is horrified by the suffering, but Moreau views sympathetic pain as an animalistic flaw. Yeah. To him, empathy is a weakness that true, evolved humans need to outgrow.
His worldview on pain is fascinating, if horrifying. Let me offer a modern analogy here to make Moreau's perspective a bit more concrete for you.
Let's hear it.
Think about the check engine light on your car's dashboard.
Okay, yeah.
It's an alert system, right? It's telling you something is wrong. Well, Moreau views physical pain exactly like that. To him, pain is simply an intrinsic medical advisor, like a basic biological warning system to keep an unintelligent animal from, walking into a fire.
Right, it's just data.
Exactly. But if you are a master mechanic and you know exactly what you're doing while you're rebuilding the engine, that blinking light is just an annoyance.
You don't need the warning.
Right. You don't weep for the car, you just snip the wire so the light stops bothering you while you work.
That analogy perfectly captures his cold logic. I mean, he actually asks Prendick, why do we need pain at all?
He really thinks we don't.
He argues that the more intelligent a creature becomes, the more it can look after its own welfare using reason. It doesn't need the crude goad of pain to keep it out of danger.
He points out that plants don't feel pain.
Yes, and that the optic nerve doesn't feel pain. He sees pain as a useless vestige of the evolutionary dust we crawled out of.
And to prove his point, this part is so messed up, he actually stabs his own thigh with a penknife while he's talking to Prendick.
Just casually stabs himself.
Just leaves it sticking out of his leg to demonstrate that he has conquered his own physical responses.
It shows that Moreau believes he has conquered nature itself, starting with his own humanity. He states that the study of nature makes a man at last as remorseless as nature.
Wow. Remorseless.
He operates completely outside any ethical framework. He only sees a biological puzzle to solve. He wants to find the extreme limit of plasticity in a living shape.
So the suffering of the puma isn't a moral failing to him. It's simply irrelevant data. But, the grand irony of the novel is that for all his towering intellect and remorseless logic, his experiment is a massive failure.
Oh, total failure.
He believes his intellect can conquer nature, but nature proves to be incredibly stubborn. This artificial, hyper-controlled order he has created on the island inevitably begins to fracture.
Moreau himself calls it the stubborn beast flesh creeping back.
Creeping back, yeah.
He can reshape their bones, he can alter the chemistry of their blood, he can use hypnosis to force them to recite the law, but he cannot reach the fundamental seat of their emotions.
The core is still animal.
Always. There is always a hidden reservoir of primal anger, hate, or fear that cannot be surgically removed. It simply waits for an opportunity to burst forth.
And the breakdown of the system starts small, right? The leopard man breaks the law by killing and eating a rabbit.
The taste of blood.
Right. He goes on all fours and tastes fresh blood. And that taste immediately weakens the hypnotic suggestion of the law. And then the ultimate catastrophe strikes.
The big one.
The mutilated puma. The very creature Moreau has been torturing in the House of Pain manages to break its fetters. It escapes the compound.
And Moreau goes after it.
Driven by absolute hubris, he chases it into the jungle alone, and the puma brutally kills him.
It is the classic narrative of the hubristic creator destroyed by his own creation.
Definitely Frankenstein vibes.
Very much so. But Moreau's violent death doesn't just end his life. It obliterates the entire psychological ecosystem of the island.
Because the fear is gone.
Exactly. The Beast People's reality was built entirely around the fear of the Master and the House of Pain. With Moreau dead, the law loses its ultimate enforcer. There is a massive vacuum of authority.
And the first person to crack into that vacuum isn't one of the beasts, it's Montgomery.
Montgomery just loses it.
He completely falls apart. He makes this fatal, deeply nihilistic decision to have what he calls a bank holiday.
Such a grim term for it.
Right. He decides to get blackout drunk, and he deliberately forces his beloved attendant, Emmeling, and several other beast folk, to drink raw brandy with him.
It is a deliberate act of total self-destruction.
But why? Like, Montgomery spent 10 years surviving these creatures. He knows better than anyone how dangerous these carnivores are. Why throw all that survival instinct away for a bottle of brandy? Why arm literal monsters with alcohol?
Well, to understand that, you have to look at Montgomery's profound alienation from humanity.
He was kind of an outcast, wasn't he?
Exactly. Earlier in the text, he confesses to Prendick that he was a total outcast from civilization. He didn't like mankind.
Ah.
After 10 years on the island, he actually felt closer to the beast people, particularly Memgling, than he did to any human being.
That's so sad.
It is. Moreau's dominant presence was the only tether holding Montgomery to any semblance of human structure. Once that tether was severed, Montgomery realized the sheer futility of their situation.
He realizes the experiment is over, and he's just trapped with the failures.
More than that, he realizes the exhausting charade of superiority is over. The alcohol removes the inhibitions of the beast folk, just as it does for humans.
Oh, bad idea.
But for them, removing inhibitions means a rapid, violent return to the predatory state. Montgomery invites his own destruction because his existence has been this miserable muddle, and he simply no longer has the will to fight against the tide of nature.
He just embraces the chaos.
Completely.
And the bank holiday ends exactly as brutally as you'd expect. In the drunken chaos of the night, a fight breaks out over the liquor, a fire starts, and Montgomery is killed by the beast folk.
And the compound burns.
Burns to the ground. Now, Prendick is left completely alone. The creators are dead, the safe house is ashes, and Prendick is stranded on an island with 70 monsters who are rapidly losing their fragile human programming.
This initiates the final, incredibly tense phase of the narrative. Prendick basically becomes the unwilling master of the reversion.
Think about how clever and desperate Prendick has to be in this moment.
He's flying by the seat of his pants.
He really is. He realizes he can't outfight dozens of beasts, so he hacks their programming. He walks right up to the beastmen with a whip and a revolver.
Such a bold move.
And when they point out that the master is dead, Prendick bluffs them. He essentially invents a religion on the spot. He tells them he is not dead, he has changed his shape, he is there in the sky where he can watch you.
It's a brilliant tactical maneuver. He leverages the deep-seated fear Moreau instilled in them to create a new, omnipresent deity.
The ultimate surveillance.
Exactly. If the master is in the sky, he can see every broken law. It buys Prendick time, but it cannot stop the inevitable biological decay.
No, it can't. And the next 10 months are a slow, horrific, and deeply tragic watch. The human veneer doesn't just peel off, it rots away.
It's a grotesque process.
We get these visceral details of the reversion. They start losing the physical mechanics of speech, the words turn into thick gibberish and then devolve back into animal snarls and grunts.
They stop wearing clothes.
Right, they find clothes irritating and tear them off. The altered bones in their legs begin to warp back to their natural shapes, forcing them to stop walking upright and drop back down onto all fours.
And this physical regression brings back the psychological regression.
Hand in hand.
Yep. As the human intellect fades, the specific animal instincts return with a vengeance. The artificial society collapses, and the natural animosities between the species re-emerge in the jungle.
Like predator and prey all over again.
Exactly.
That brings us to one of the most heartbreaking details. Prendick had this one true ally, a beast man made from a St. Bernard.
Oh, a dog man.
Yeah. This creature retained the fierce protective loyalty of a dog and genuinely loved Prendick. But as the island descends into the food chain, The St. Bernard man is killed in the jungle by the hyena swine.
Which is just devastating for Prendick.
It forces him into total, terrifying isolation. He can't trust any of them anymore. He has to reverse his own sleep schedule, sleeping fitfully during the day and staying awake all night, clutching a revolver, just terrified of the glowing eyes lurking in the dark woods.
It is the ultimate, undeniable proof of Moreau's failure.
10 years of work down the drain.
10 years of excruciating surgery and intense psychological manipulation are completely undone in a matter of months. The animal nature was never eradicated. It was merely imprisoned. And once the jailer died, the prison walls dissolved.
Just when Prendick is completely at the end of his rope, unable to build a raft that will float, salvation literally drifts onto the beach.
Talk about luck.
Ironically, it's a small boat containing 2 dead men. Prendick doesn't even hesitate. He pushes the dead bodies overboard, takes the boat, and sails away from the nightmare.
He's had enough.
More than enough. He drifts for 3 days before finally being rescued by a passing ship.
He returns to the civilized world, but, the psychological scars of the island make it impossible for him to truly integrate back into society.
The lingering trauma is incredibly intense. When Prendick returns to London, he walks the bustling streets, but he can't shake the feeling that his fellow humans are just animals in disguise, ready to revert at any second.
He sees the beast in everyone.
He really does. He sees a clergyman delivering a sermon and immediately thinks of the gibbering ape man. He sees people looking shifty or angry on the train, and he half expects them to suddenly drop on all fours and bare their teeth.
The whole world changes for him.
The city doesn't feel like a triumph of civilization anymore. It feels like a very large, very fragile zoo.
Because he has seen the biological truth that Moreau exploited.
Which is what, exactly?
He recognizes that humanity is not some separate divine state of being, completely detached from nature. Our civilization is just a fragile evolutionary layer resting on top of deep, ancient animal instincts.
We're basically chanting the law to ourselves.
Exactly. The mark of the beast isn't just on Moreau's creations, it is on all of us.
It demands that you, as the listener, look around your own life and wonder just how thin the veneer of our society really is. Like, are the laws, the manners, and the social norms we follow just our own elaborate version of chanting not to go on all fours? That is the law.
That is the enduring, unsettling power of the text. It makes us question the stability and authenticity of our own civilization.
Which brings us to a final provocative thought for you to mull over.
I love this part.
We've spent this deep dive looking at Moreau's extreme physical surgeries and his hypnotic conditioning and how all of that effort couldn't permanently erase the beast inside.
Right, nature won.
So think about our modern world. Think about our society's current attempts to completely hack or suppress our own fundamental human natures.
Oh, that's interesting.
Use technology, relentless productivity culture, chemical interventions, all to suppress our need for sleep, to numb our messy, complex emotions, and to override our basic biological instincts in the name of efficiency.
Turning ourselves into machines.
Exactly. Are we, in our own modern, sterilized way, trying to vivisect the animal out of ourselves? And if so, how long until the stubborn beast flesh inevitably creeps back?
It really leaves us wondering if we can ever truly engineer the animal out of the human, or if attempting to do so is just a modernized version of Moreau's fatal hubris.
And on that note, we'll leave you to your thoughts. Just remember, the next time you feel like you're drifting in a dinghy, desperate for rescue, be very, very careful which ship you choose to board.